station. This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Okay, KOKH-TV. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is KOKH-TV. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. How me?
We hear you.
We do hear you. A little delay, of course. We are now up to the International Space Station, traveling more than 17,000 miles per hour. Commander Tim Kopra joins us live. Good morning, Commander.
Good morning. How are you all today?
We're great here in Oklahoma City, a little cloudy. You're well above those clouds. We want to know what life is like right above 17,000 miles first. What's day-to-day life for you aboard the ISS?
You know, life here is really good. We have a very busy day. We get up about 6:30 in the morning, and then our days are really filled with science and maintenance on board. But you know, whenever we have a free moment, we're looking out the window at our beautiful planet.
Now, I think a lot of kids sometimes say they want to be an astronaut. What inspired you to become an astronaut?
You know, when I was a little boy, we were landing men on the moon, and I think every little boy at the time thought about being an astronaut. And I think it was a motivation that stayed with me from that very young age and motivated me to study hard in school, study math and science, and select a career in the military. And even though it almost seems like an impossible goal, it was a great motivator for me, and thankfully things worked out in the very end.
Now, if students are watching, what do they need to know if they want to get involved in the space program?
As the microphone floats away.
You know, my recommendation to any young person who is interested in the space program, but really in being ambitious in whatever they do, the best thing that any young student can do is to study hard in school, because it's like money in the bank, and it provides opportunities. When you learn more, it's something that you can use in the future.
All right, Commander, besides floating microphones, what other experiments are you doing well above the Earth?
You know, we are really actively involved in several kinds of experiments. Many of those are related to what it takes to counteract the effects of zero gravity on the human body. I mean, it's a lot of fun up here. We work really hard, but it actually is pretty hard on your body, on your bones, your muscles, your eyesight. And a lot of experiments we have will help us learn what it takes to counteract that. And we also have lots of basic science research. I've been involved in an experiment with fire here on Space Station, which was pretty fascinating. And liquid crystals starts tomorrow. So we have a huge complement of experiments here on board.
What would you say is the greatest mission for the space program?
You mean what's the greatest accomplishment of our space program?
Sure.
Well, you know, I think one of the things that we derive from human spaceflight is the fact that it inspires people to do more. And there are so many things that we can do here in zero gravity that we can't do on Earth, but also just the aspect of us exploring and reaching out is a great motivator to the population at large, but especially to young people who need a motivation to work harder in school in those hard subjects like math and science.
All right. Well, keep those pictures floating on Twitter. I've been following you. You have some very fascinating pictures already, and including your experiments on fire. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us this morning. And if people want to find out more, I imagine they could follow you on Twitter as well. The Twitter address you can do is @Astro_Tim. And fascinating pictures. It really gets you what life is like aboard the ISS.
Well, it's my pleasure. I enjoy taking photographs, my favorite hobby here, and it's especially fun to be able to share that experience through those photos. Thank you so much.
Following for some.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the KOKH-TV portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from ITV News.
Station, this is Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby with ITV This Morning. How do you hear me?
Hello, Holly. This is Tim on the International Space Station. I hear you loud and clear.
Well, if you are happy, Station, or I'll start to call you Tim now, if that's okay. If we're all ready, our links are working perfectly. Happy to begin. Tim, it's Philip Schofield here on Earth with Holly Willoughby. What a thrill to be talking to you. We've got to ask you straight away, what's outside the window right now?
Hello, Philip and Holly. Yes, well, the window is right below me here, actually, in the US laboratory. And at the moment, it looks like we're going over the northern Canada and the Hudson Bay, James Bay area. It's beautiful, snowy and icy down there.
And how are you getting used to life in space? We hear the first 24 hours are particularly tough, just getting adjusted to things.
That's right, yes. When you first come into space, your body has to kind of switch off the vestibular system. It's getting all these weird signals from the inner ear with all the fluid in microgravity. And once your body works that out, and it takes about 24 hours, you feel absolutely fine. And you get better and better as the mission goes on, of course, of operating in microgravity. But really, you only feel rough for about the first 24 hours.
Tim, what is your day? What do you do? How do you know when to get up?
Well, our days Monday through Friday are very well organized and well planned. We normally work about 12-hour days, get up about 6:30 in the morning, and at 7 o'clock we start with a morning conference, a tag up with all the control centers around the world that support us. And then we really get on with our work, which can be a mixture of scientific activities. That's the main purpose of this research laboratory in space. So we perform as much science as we can, but we also have to maintain the space station. So there's a degree of maintenance as well. And then if we get any spare time, we'll nip to the window maybe and take a few photographs during the day as well. And then at the weekends, we clean the station, we do some kind of fun voluntary science activities, and we have a bit of time off on Sundays as well.
And whilst you're up there, what sort of science experiments have you been doing?
Well, the science is really mixed. We will be doing about 250 experiments during this 6-month stay in space. To give you an example, a couple of weeks ago, Tim Kopra, my NASA counterpart, and myself, we were in the airlock, and we were using the airlock as a hyperbaric chamber, taking it to a reduced pressure so that we could investigate the lungs and nitric oxide as an indicator of airway inflammation. And this is going to have benefit for people who suffer from asthma, for example, on Earth. Last week we were looking at combustion techniques and actually lighting fires on board the space station, which sounds a bit remarkable, but all in a very controlled environment. But the serious side of that is to try and find better combustion techniques for back on Earth, again for cleaner engines and more efficient sort of engine systems. And then this week as well, we're doing some investigations into liquid crystal displays.
So a lot of work that you do up there on a daily basis is going to eventually benefit us down here.
Absolutely. We've been doing scientific research on board the space station and just generally in space during, of course, the Mir and the shuttle era as well. And all of these research experiments we do have knock-on impacts and benefits for people back on Earth, as well as helping us to progress further in our exploration of the solar system.
I'm holding here this very beautiful book called Goodnight Spaceman. This is released on the 7th of April. The foreword in it is from you yourself. It's actually inspired by your mission and your two little boys at home looking up at the moon and thinking of their father up there in space. The stories of two little boys who go to bed and then they get taken on this huge adventure. This is something that you want to do, isn't it, to inspire a next generation?
Yes, that's absolutely right. I mean, flying into space is a huge privilege. It's also a wonderful opportunity and a very valuable opportunity. And one of the main objectives of my mission was to try and share that opportunity with as many people as possible. And in particular, with our young generation, to use it as inspiration for children to get interested in space and, more importantly, to get interested in science. And this book really reaches out to the very youngest of our generation. And of course, I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, so it has a particular closeness to my heart to be able to be part of this book, which is designed to get children excited about science and excited about space.
There's no question that you being there, a Brit in space, is literally inspiring a nation of young minds. For you, that must weigh quite heavy on your shoulders. You talk to schools a lot. We know that you do conferences with schools. What would be your dream, your aim, when you come back to Earth?
Gosh, well, I mean, really, I have so many aims for the mission, but since being selected by the European Space Agency about 7 years ago now, I really wanted the UK to become part of the human spaceflight program. I think that's extremely important for us. It's important for our scientific community. It's important for our economy and our engineering and science businesses. We have a huge space industry, a huge space sector in the UK, and being part of the human spaceflight program is only going to help to grow that sector. But more importantly, it is about the kids, it is about the children, and it is about the inspiration and trying to encourage our kids to get involved in science. I think science is going to be the answer to so many of the problems that we have today and will have in the future. And the better prepared for that we are, then the better it will be for everybody.
We saw you present an award to Adele at the Brits. Did you take that tuxedo T-shirt with you, knowing that was going to happen?
Do you know, the funny thing was, when I was packing my bag, and it's not a very big bag, it really is kind of just, it's about the size of 2 shoe boxes maybe. So I had to think carefully about what to take. And when I packed that, I didn't actually have a specific purpose for it. But I thought to myself, I'm sure there'll be at least one occasion where I can think I'll need to wear a tuxedo in space. And thankfully, it's paid off.
I've got to ask you, the spacewalk, to achieve something like that, to experience something that so few people would be able to achieve. When you walk out and you're in the vastness of space and you look down at our planet, that's got to be quite a humbling sight.
It is hugely humbling, and you know, we're just approaching kind of halfway through my mission now, so I don't really want to say at the moment it's the highlight of the mission because there's still a long way to go, but it's going to be pretty hard to beat that experience. The moment the hatch opened and the airlock flooded with sunlight and we went outside, it just felt incredible to be in the vacuum of space and just to have that thin visor separating from you and this wonderful, incredible view looking down on planet Earth. And in particular, during the spacewalk, we actually had about 10 minutes to enjoy that view whilst we were waiting for the sun to go down before we could actually start working on this electrical component. And that's very rare to have that much time to actually kind of soak up that environment and really enjoy being out in space. Very humbling indeed.
And when you went on that spacewalk, you took a picture of your boys with you. Has that been quite tough, being so far away from home?
It has been tough being away from home. You know, in the 6 years I've been doing this job, I've also spent a lot of time at home traveling around the world and training in Russia and in Germany, as well as, of course, the US, Canada and Japan. But actually being up here for this long stint, being much more isolated from my family, is tough. I do get to speak to them quite regularly, though, and I have a video conference once a week, so that helps me keep very well connected with my family. But of course, I'm missing birthdays and anniversaries, and that's particularly tough. And Christmas as well, of course.
And how adept are you now at the tricks in space? You must be pretty good at the backflips.
Well, the funny thing is we don't spend our day doing backflips, but yeah, I'm pretty good at moving around the station fairly quickly now and just working in microgravity. We use our feet an awful lot, not the bottoms of our feet, but the tops of our feet an awful lot, sort of grabbing under handrails. We're also almost sort of like monkeys jumping from handrail to handrail just with our feet.
I'm imagining you're not really having to hold that microphone as opposed to just having to hold it down. If you were to let go, would it just float off?
Absolutely, yes. And that's the strange thing, of course, is in space you don't have to put anything down. That can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's nice to be able to put things down, and sometimes it's great to be able to just let things hang in the air, especially if you're eating food and drinking a drink, of course. It's great. You can just have these things floating in front of you.
What's the rest of the day for you, for the rest of the day for your show-off? What are you going to do?
Well, we've got some maintenance activities to do up here this afternoon, also physical training. We have to do about 2 hours of physical training each day to try and prevent as much as that bone density loss and that muscle mass loss and make sure we're in good shape for coming back to Earth, and preparing for a big experiment, a scientific experiment tomorrow on liquid crystals. So quite a busy afternoon for us up here.
And I imagine past that training is for the marathon that you're going to be running.
That's right, yes. I'm starting to regret that decision now. No, but in all seriousness, it's going to be a wonderful event. But running up here in space is really quite hard work. We have to wear a harness that keeps us strapped to the ground. It's like running with a rucksack, really, with your body weight on it. So I'm training every day on the treadmill up here and just gradually increasing the number of hours and the number of miles I run. But I'm running for the Prince's Trust, which I think is a wonderful charity that does amazing work for disadvantaged young children and young people in the UK. And of course also using it as inspiration for a number of fitness challenges we have to try and get young kids engaged in nutrition and healthy eating and just staying fit and healthy in general.
And just finally, Tim, the moment you looked out the window and thought, I can't believe I'm seeing this, what's impressed you the most out of that window?
Well, the first time I saw Earth from space was in the small Soyuz spacecraft, just a few moments after we'd launched into orbit, and it was just spectacular and incredible. But since then, of course, I've come on the station and really got to enjoy planet Earth all times of the day and night from the cupola windows. And some of the places that have amazed me are, for example, Africa. I never imagined the Sahara Desert, for example, would just be so stunning from space, but it really is magnificent. All sorts of wonderful colors and, sculpted by the wind and the elements back on planet Earth. And it's just amazing to be able to see all of these things as we orbit the Earth 16 times a day.
Well, it's been a real treat to talk to you. Thank you so very much indeed. Hopefully when you get your feet planted firmly back on the planet, you'll come in and have a chat with us. But we'll get formal now. And station, that concludes the event. Thanks, Tim.
Many thanks. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, KOKH-TV, ESA, and ITV News. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
And station copies. Many thanks.